Queens. It's every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For folks who don't know, tell us about your character and about the show.
Yeah, well, the show is, it's what I love about the show is that it's about second chances. You're in your 40s and you think that maybe you don't have a second chance. And so the beauty about the show is reclaiming that and reclaiming the swagger and also coming together as women 20 years later into a friendship that we basically destroyed when we were together in the group in the 90s, and coming together to make amends and to actually support and hold each other now in our 40s. It's just beautiful. It's like you're more mature, you have more capacity to do it, you're not competitive, you're just, for empowerment and sisterhood. And so all of these wonderful like aspects of being a woman are covered in this show. And I think that this is what makes this particular show so rare and so special right now. And also we're women of color and we're women. We're not, trying to be younger or little girls or, trying to go backwards. We're where we are right now, embracing exactly where we are and seeing what we could do with where we are and how we can make it better.
Now, I heard you say that, Eve, of course, hip hop, legend. Brandy, as folks call her, the vocal Bible. Notori Naughton, of course, 3LW, Power. I love Notori. I've interviewed her before. What a great person. But you said you were surprised you got the role because you don't have an experience in R&B or hip hop or dancing or singing. You said that you were kind of surprised it even happened. Tell us about that.
I mean, honestly, like never in a million years did I think that I would be the person fit for, a show that's involved music. I remember when Glee came out, I remember Empire came out, I was like, those shows I'm never like gonna be on. And here we are, it's like, and I love being on it. And I love the growth that I get to have and the challenge that I take on. And it's been incredible. I love this experience. So no, I don't have a musical background or a dance background.
Let's talk about your journey for a minute. I was really surprised when I heard you basically were done with auditioning.
Yeah.
That for 2 years, you basically—
I was done with the business, not just auditioning.
With the business. Oh my gosh, you were done with the business for 2 years. You basically let all this go. And then this role comes to you, that they reach out to you. But I think this is so important for folks to hear because, I think sometimes, late 30s, early 40s, older than that, if that quote unquote dream doesn't come true, we just kind of let it go, which can be a good and a bad thing. But tell us why you were, because you've been grinding for a long time. You were in Biker Boys, you were in Flight. You have a long resume on IMDb.
Yeah, and I'm sure I could have continued working. It wasn't an issue of not working. I was working. When I left, I was working. I was straight off of a television show, and it was just my decision not to keep going because I was unsatisfied. I wasn't happy with the kinds of roles or jobs that I was portraying, and I was moving around a lot. I wanted to see more roles similar to the ones that I'm playing right now, and I wanted to create too. So it was an opportunity to write my own show and to just take things into my own hands and do it outside of the business to see if I could. And I did. I enrolled Will Smith and Frankie Shaw, who created Smilf, into an idea that I had. And I wrote it, created, pitched it, and ultimately sold it to Showtime. And that was what I did during the 2 years that I was away. I didn't want to audition for anything. I didn't want to go out for anything else. And honestly, if it didn't sell, I was going to be okay with that too. It was more about trying. It was more about taking matters into my own hands and creating something from deep within me as an artist. I think, being in this industry early on, being an attractive Latina, going out for roles that I'm going to be up for, I could tell you the kinds of roles I know I'm going to be up for, and being successful at it. it's not fulfilling. It's not, there's no nourishment in that. And there's very little time to develop yourself as an artist because you are making money, because you are working, because you are having success. And so that time to dedicate to like who you really are and what you really want to do, it's very, you have to carve out that time for yourself as an artist. You have to make the decision of when is that time that you're going to allot and what are you willing to sacrifice. And so for me, it was just like, I don't have anything to lose. I'm just getting older. So I'm going to keep playing these roles over and over again to what? I'm a vieja, and I'm going to look at myself in the mirror and be like, now I'm the young girl's grandma, you know what I mean? Like, which is fine, but it's like, what did I do for me? What did I get? What chance did I give myself? Especially as a woman. It's very, it was just something I was willing to do and try because I didn't want to have any regrets later. And
Isn't
so
it interesting how you let it go for 2 years and then this role comes to you? It's funny how life works, right?
life works like that. Like when I really believe that when I really believe there's nothing to fear if you are truly pursuing something that is in your heart to do. There's no loss. There's only gain. You're only going to be stronger at something. You're only going to be better at believing in yourself. You're going to develop skills you never could have developed anywhere else if you hadn't done that thing. And it's going to take you somewhere. It may not take you exactly where you think you're going, but it's going to take you somewhere unexpected and thrilling, maybe. And that's what's happened to me, you know. And it's not the first time it's happened. There's been other times where I've just taken a leap of faith and life has surprised me. So I trust in that process. I think that process is necessary.
Can you tell us a bit about this show with Showtime? I guess it's called a quote unquote dark comedy. It's called La Tina.
Yeah.
Tell us about this. It sounds really interesting.
It's a Latina just coming from I'm playing it off of her name, Christina Velez. It's semi-autobiographical. It does cover my life from the time that I was in Hollywood up until the point where I decided I didn't want to be in it anymore. But the idea that I'm infusing in there is the cultural wounds that we have as Latinas, as Latinos, just the safety of the not leaving the nest, not too far from the nest, or getting that job that's secure. So oftentimes not having any support from your family, and venturing off into the world on your own with your own ideas, and not really being supported or not having any role models in your community to like follow. And so so the character goes back to heal some of these wounds because she sees how she's been outrunning some of her, pain and trauma, and she wants to face them. She wants to address them. She wants to like really look at them in the eye and like make a difference. So yeah, that's what I hope to cover in that series.
And you're Puerto Rican, correct?
Yes.
You know, the last Puerto Rican woman to receive an Oscar nomination was Rosie Perez in the early 90s.
Rosie
Isn't that
Perez? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, isn't
Yeah.
that crazy? I think it was 93, 4 maybe. That's the last Puerto Rican woman. Not that I care that much about the Oscars, but it's just a point like,
Yeah.
wow, that's a long ass time. What
That is
is
a long time.
yeah, what exactly is happening? Let me ask you this, just speaking of roles and representation of Latin folks, what did you think about that controversy within the Heights earlier this year?
About it not being diverse enough or
Yeah,
Afro-Latina enough.
yeah, not showing enough Afro Latin folks. It was more lighter skinned Latin folks versus browner skin.
Honestly, I'm going to say something that's probably controversial, but I think that Latin people just need to support each other way more, whether they're Black or brown. It's just, we're all on the same team. It's more division. It's just more division. I
I hear
think
you.
I loved In the Heights. I think, more Afro Latino representation. Okay, but we're not going to get there if we're not supporting each other's projects. It's just not going
Right.
to happen. It's an evolution. It's something that we go from nothing and then we go slowly into more. And the constant, we have colorism within our own culture, which has to end. Like there has to be some sort of education about how that division doesn't help us go forward. Even with my show, I went to Latinos in the industry and I didn't get support. But that didn't stop me. I went other places. It doesn't mean I'm not going to support I want to be an example of supporting Latinos for real.
What's interesting too about your background is that you grew up very conservative. You grew up in a Pentecostal household, so you didn't grow up with a lot of 90s hip hop at all. So
Music.
yes. Was it more religious music you had to listen to?
It was really no music. It was really no
Oh,
music.
wow.
We had like salsa, right? Because I went to a Spanish
Oh,
church, so it was like
right.
sometimes they would play a little salsa and as devotion, which is very funny. But not very much. Not very
Wow.
much
So
music.
how does that impact you as an actress, growing up in a strict religious household, and then you get in Hollywood, which is, obviously much different, and then you're in a show
I've
like
always
Queen,
felt behind.
you always felt behind.
I always feel behind. I feel like there's just a big chunk of my life that I'm never going to be able to get back. And I can research it and I can study it, but everyone else around me lived it, experienced it, had the posters, had the New Kids on the Block, had whatever they had, and lived a certain kind of musical culture or pop culture that I'm never going to have. And I've just embraced that.
Yeah. Wow. It's interesting. It's interesting. Well, listen, I encourage everybody to watch Queens Tuesdays, 10 p.m. on ABC. It's really great to talk to you. When I was looking into your background, you have a really fascinating background. And I think it's so cool that I just think I want people, whether you're in a cubicle, whether you're a truck driver, whether you're an up and coming artist, I like this idea that you just stepped away for 2 years and then you get this show on ABC and then you get a show with Showtime that you're writing and producing, and Will Smith is a part of it.
Yeah.
And you're also a grown woman. Folks think before 25, if it doesn't happen, it's not going to
Right.
happen.
Right.
And although you were doing this before 25, but just still like the journey, the process, the walk, I think it's really inspirational. So
Thank you
yeah.
so much. I
How can
appreciate
folks,
you and thank you for this
yeah.
interview.
How can folks follow you on social media?
I have a social media. I have Instagram, and that's about the only thing I use. It's my name, Nadine Velazquez.
All right. Thank you so much. Once again, Nadine Velazquez. Check her out with Eve, Brandy, Notori Naughton, all of them. ABC Queens. Check it out.